Yes, yes, yes. You have tuned in to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. Today's podcast is brought to you by Faith versus Fear, Breaking Family Ties, which can be found and available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. This podcast is designed with you in mind to remind you that you can always click that reset button and start all over again. It's never too late to be great. So now I want you to sit back. I want you to relax. I want you to clear your mind, take in that deep breath, prepare yourself for change as we listen in on Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. Let's go. Welcome to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. As always, it is my honor and my pleasure to be able to come and share some tips and some tools with you that I know will assist you in becoming a better you. Today, I have the honor and the pleasure of bringing on to you today, Mr. Larry Hoffman. Welcome, Larry. Welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. Really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here.
No problem. Larry is the owner of LJH Investments. This is an Ohio-based real estate investment firm, and they specialize in buying, selling distressed and toxic assets, and they've been doing this since 2006. So I was discussing with Larry prior to coming on. One of the things that stood out with me was they buy properties that are behind on payments, pre-foreclosures, or performing notes. And they, I guess if it needs some updates on the property, they would do that. But somehow, some way, they work things out when they can even probably keep the person in their home. Is this true, Larry?
Yeah, essentially what I do is, what you're talking about. When the borrower gets behind on these payments, just like to a bank, I'll typically go in and I'll buy these they're called non-performing notes.
Okay.
And often, and typically when I buy these things, I'm anywhere between 30 to 60 cents on the dollar on the value of the unpaid principal balance. Okay. Depending on whether it's a judicial state, non-judicial, how far they're behind. I mean, so all of these things come into factor on how steep of a discount you get. So my end goal, my business end goal is not to foreclose on them. That I will do anything and everything to keep them in that property, to do a loan modification, try to work it out, to get them back on track. So as I always say, is I rehab the borrower and not the property.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to give you a chance to tell us first, how'd you start this? That's so important to know. How did this start? Why did you feel like there was a need for this? And one of the biggest questions people are probably going to ask that I want to know too. How do you get the funding for something like this? Like you're helping people do things that mortgage companies are doing. You're doing things that banks are doing. And this is something I've never really heard of, to be honest. So enlighten us today, Larry. Let us know how this started. Why do you feel that there was a need and how you're able to do this?
This is I've been investing since 2006. I started out rehabbing properties, flipping them, just like pretty much everybody else started out. Yeah. You'll wholesale a few deals, get some money, then you eventually start rehabbing them. And then with that, you oftentimes you'll offer seller finance notes, where you'll own the property. Either you use your money or you use private money, and then you'll do some type of seller financing. Well, I was kind of first introduced to it when I did a first and a second mortgage. Okay. And the second mortgage is when I sold that on the secondary market. I didn't really understand what I was doing with it. And I kind of took a hit just because I didn't properly set up everything correctly when you do these owner finance notes, because there's a right way and then there's a wrong way to create seller finance notes. Okay. Well, I did it the wrong way. and I took a bath on the on selling this note. But I didn't really get into the note space for quite a while after that, because I was rehabbing the properties and things like that. And honestly, I just I just really got tired of being the landlord with the dealing with the tenants, the toilets, and the trash outs, and figured there's got to be a better way to this. And then going back to creating that second note, it dawned on me. It's like, well, that's what banks do. Banks loan money. They aren't responsible for the repairs or anything like that. They don't chase people down for the money. So that's when it kind of dawned on me to become, I'm no longer the landlord, I'm the lien lord. So my company owns these notes, and they're secured. I only do first performing notes. And I have like 5 to 7 different states that I typically buy in. And once again, everything is backed by real estate. So I go in and I look at these notes, and like I was initially talking about, not only do I buy the non-performing, I do buy performing notes as well. And usually on the performing notes, you're paying pretty much close to par. Par is the asking price, depending on where the seller is in their cycle. If they're motivated or not, you can get them at a little bit of a discount. So yeah, I truly love this space. It's a really good space to be in. And then to answer your question, one of your other questions was the money. I use either my personal money, or I use my self-directed IRA money to buy these notes, or I use private funds to actually buy these notes. And I give people an above average return on their investments.
So you have investors?
I do.
Oh, okay. Awesome. This is so different. I'm intrigued by this. Do you find that that people find it easier to come to your company versus a bank or their own mortgage? Do you see that they feel like, okay, this is easier for us to work with you and your criteria versus, because I know with the mortgage companies and the banks, it's a lot that they'll make you go through depending on where you are in your home. If you're having issues or something like that. They sometimes, especially before COVID, they kind of made you go through the ringer to, stay in your home after COVID. Like, we want you in your home. But before that, it was like a lot of, hoops that you had to go through. So do you find that people are drawn more to your company, or are they just like, I don't know about this? Is this legit? What do you think?
Yeah. And that's where, when you say people draw, it's not like the borrowers, going out when you get a loan for a house. It's not so much, people are actually tracking me down. It's me buying a problem, a pre-existing problem where the borrower is already in place. They had this loan, and then somehow, life happened to them. They lost a job, went through divorce, got sick. And, these banks, these hedge funds, and these other investors, they just don't want to deal with it anymore.
Okay.
And so they sell off these loans. And then that's where I come in and I buy these, these problems. And then, I come in and I honestly try to help them. I can give you example after example of just, people are buying these notes and nobody's reached out to them, like the banks or the individual investor. They've been trying to get back on track. They've been, worried, losing sleep, anxiety, and all types of stuff, worrying about their properties and, foreclosure. And then I buy these notes and I reach out to them. My servicing company reaches out to them. And like I said, the number one goal is to work out a loan modification with them to actually keep them in that property. And it's so refreshing when you have these conversations with people, because it's like you can hear in their voice this level of anxiety when you actually help somebody. I mean, I've had multiple people just cry over the phone, because it's like, I tell them it's fine. We'll do everything we can to help you, but you have to do what you say you're going to do, get back on track. And but make no mistake about it, that this is a business,
Right.
and if they don't live up to their end of the bargain, I mean, unfortunately, I will have to foreclose on the property. But that is like the very last thing that I want to do with them.
Right, right. I think what makes this unique to me is that I would assume, this is not my area of expertise, but I would assume that most companies, when they know of a home that is pre-foreclosed or missing payments, when they're reaching out, they're reaching out to snatch the property and kick them out.
So I can't speak for all people doing this, but I do know some investors, some note investors, that is their main way of getting a property before it actually hit the market. So they're
Right.
kind of like getting in before becoming a foreclosure and picking it up at a pretty good deal, right?
Right.
And if that's a person's individual business model, that's what they're that's fine. That's
Right.
what they want to do. But like I said, my initial goal going into it is not, I do not want to own a property. I owned quite a bit of properties. I no longer want to be a landlord. I just want to be a lien lord and own that note and help people get back on their feet and keep them in that house.
So, because I want to get a really good understanding. So say, someone was, pre-foreclosed, you or foreclosed or whatever, and you got the note and you're working with them and they do everything that they're supposed to do and they're now, in good standing.
Yep.
What happens with their mortgage? I mean, are you still holding this mortgage? Are you still owning this mortgage?
I do. I own it, and that's where it kind of comes into different criterias, like on how many the length that's still left on the loan, whether you hold it or if I bought it initially to hold it into my self-directed IRA. But typically what I'll do is, once I actually get them reperforming, it's called reperforming.
Okay.
We'll do a loan modification, and then I have more people, lawyers, helping me with qualifying them to make sure that we're able to successfully set them up from the jump. And that's where maybe I just did one where I modified the payments. I took off $200 off their monthly payment because I was looking at what they were paying, and it's like there's no way that they can continue to keep doing what they're doing and then moving forward. But to answer your question, I'll keep these things either long term, or if I use private money, I have a time frame that I got to keep them. So oftentimes I'll use private money, and I'll have a 24 to a 36-month fuse that I'll have that money out. So when I buy these non-performing notes, I'll get them reperforming. Then I'll have about another 3 years before I have to sell these things off. Or what I do is oftentimes I'll develop a really good relationship with the borrower, and then I'll just wind up cashing out my investor, and I'll just keep it and add it to my portfolio and just keep it for the entire length of the loan.
Wow. So when say that they're ready to sell, they want to move, right?
Yep.
So you're still making profit.
Yep.
I like it, Larry.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. It's really profitable. I mean, you don't get the headaches where you do with landlord. Believe me, because I own quite a bit of property, and I had all the headaches and when something happened, even with the lease options that I was doing, it's like there was just still something in the mindset of the person leasing it or doing a rent to own or a lease option on it. It's still a rental that I would still get the calls. I'm like, no, it's like this is all you. And when it's an actual mortgage, because there's a difference between a mortgage and a contract for deed. When I buy the mortgage notes, and it is their name their name and or their the husband and wife or whoever it is, their name is on the deed on that property, right?
Right.
So they have to be responsible for everything that goes on with that property.
Right. Just like a bank.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, one thing I did try to go really quick, and get some more information about you. So one of the questions that I had to you was regard to you is about how are you able to contact your potential clients?
Yep. Yeah. And what I do is I have right now I have pretty good relationships with banks and hedge funds, hedge fund managers, and then also individual investors. And a big thing is just doing a lot of social media marketing on LinkedIn and Facebook, and letting the world know that I buy these mortgage notes. If you go over to LinkedIn and just I think my name is it's either Larry Hoffman Jr. or Lawrence Hoffman Jr. And if you do a search on it, you can see all my social media posts on the notes that I'm buying, and the things that I'm doing. I do case studies on notes, and so that's letting the world know that I buy these notes, and I constantly have people reaching out to me with notes for sale. I just got I just picked up 11 this past week when I was on vacation from a hedge fund. And so I'm going to be buying. I'm in the process of doing my due diligence on that, but it's just getting out there, communicating with people, and developing a relationship.
So do you do, because I thought I read somewhere, I'm not sure, that you kind of do like the old school of reaching out to people. Do you do it via mail? Do you knock on doors? Like, what do you do? And do you do any of that old school type of contact?
No, no. Don't.
Okay.
It's everything that I do is has been related to social media, either LinkedIn or Facebook. I do have a virtual assistant that she helps me with some of my marketing and things like that, outreach. But you can do and I've been thinking about this. I haven't really decided if I want to do this or not. You can go to a list source provider and buy a list of people that's done some type of seller financing, owner financing, where they've taken back a note, and you can send them direct mail, just letting them know, hey, I know you made this, you took back a $95,000 mortgage. You're a mortgagee, and the person making the payments is the mortgagor. I know you're the mortgagee. Would you be interested in selling that note? You don't have to wait the 360 months to 30 years. You can get your cash now. Would you be interested in selling that? And I know there are other note investors out there that's all they primarily do is they target people who've taken back an owner finance note. But I haven't done that. I just strictly go to the banks, the hedge fund managers, the servicing companies, that they have these lists of pools of notes that are available for sale. And when I say pool, I mean, sometimes they have 14 on them. Sometimes they have, like 500 to 1,000. And then you just sift and sort. And I have a criteria that I look for on these notes. And then, say out of that list of, say, 500, I'll probably narrow it down to, I don't know, like 250, 275. And then out of that 275, I'll make offers on, say, 100 of them.
Okay. So I have a question. A lot of people who come on the podcast, oftentimes they offer services, teaching services to show other people, this is where I am, but look, so that you don't have to go through the same, things that I had to go through. Let me show you an easier way. Let me show you, learn from my mistakes, learn from my heartache and my pain. Do you offer those type of services?
I go back and forth with it. I don't have a course. I don't, have a mentoring program. I have other people reach out to me in the past about, hey, I'll pay you X amount to, to show me, kind of like what you're doing.
Right.
And I don't know. I kind of go back and forth with it, just because, it's a lot of time and commitment. From not, I mean, for me, but also the other person. I don't want people to think that this is a get rich quick scam. And then I've taken a lot of other mentoring courses from a lot of other people that they promise you the world, and and it was like, oh, wait a minute, I spent this in order to get that. It's like, that's not fair.
Right.
But it's one of those things, right? I guess it also comes down to, what you put into it. But I guess to answer your question, I don't. But if somebody is interested, I mean, they can always reach out to me, and we can see if we can, figure something out.
Right. The reason I ask you is because, yeah, me too. I've been there where, I guess I'm very old school. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
So if they make
Yeah.
it sound too easy, and I kind of think, I don't want to, get on my little soapbox, but I kind of think that what's wrong a lot of times today's society is that they want everything quick. And if it doesn't come
Yep.
quick, then they don't want to be bothered with it. But, I come from the time where we knew that you had to put in the hard work to reap the benefits. It just makes sense, right? You put in the hard work. And I know a lot of people that I've connected with on this podcast have the same mindset that I have, where you learn from just making mistakes. You just you go through all of this and you go, ooh, won't do that anymore. And you just kind of learn. That's how you grow. That's how you mature. That's how you perfect whatever your craft is. So when I'm listening to you talking, I'm like, well, you have a lot of information, and this is something that is, different. It's different than what you hear. I said, we hear a lot of people who, they will see that the property is, first of all, everybody wants to flip property. Everybody. It's on television. It's very popular, but even that doesn't show the hard work that goes into that, and the low moments of you lost your money.
Oh, Michelle, I can't even tell you how many. It's like I said, I used to rehab houses, and I've been several deals where I just broke even.
Yeah.
It's like, and you hear, people always talk about the successes and things like that, and and they don't talk about the failures of it. And that's the whole thing, is like with these notes, you just don't blindly buy them. You do have to do your due diligence. When you get an offer accepted, what I'll typically do is I'll order a BPO, and then I'll do a title search to make sure that the value. So if they're telling me, there's an unpaid principal balance of like 80, and if I bought it for say 60, and the house is worth 100, I'll order a BPO, and if it comes back that the house is worth 60, we've got a problem. Because you're saying they're upside down, and then you got to go back and renegotiate or just walk away from it. So you do your due diligence, the BPO, the title search, you check taxes. I call the utility companies, make sure that everything is in their name, everything is paid up. I also do a crime analysis of the area. I just do a lot of things just to make sure, because when I'm borrowing somebody's money, I want to make sure that what I'm getting into and what they're getting into. So I don't want any gotchas to come up. But this is investing, and you can't foresee what's going to happen in the future. I've had performing notes turn non-performing. And then, you just talk to them and try to figure out what's going on, and then help them to get them back on track again.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility on you, as you stated, having investors who are, trusting you with their funds, your area. This is your thing. I don't even know anything about it, Larry. I'm expecting you to make good choices. So that's a lot of pressure on you to make sure. But the fact that I'm hearing that you do your due diligence and make sure that, hey, you can trust your investment with me, because I'm going to make sure that I do my part. Life happens, things happens, but I'm not intentionally just, just do something. Right. So that's,
I have investors who they're 100% passive. They're just, I don't care what, I just want the money in my account when you say the money is going to be there. And then I have other investors who, that they're other real estate investors where it's more of a JV type of thing, because, they've invested a lot of money with me. So I have this cutoff where when you start investing more money, then it starts becoming a JV deal. And there's more of a upswing for them. And then, we just have monthly meetings just to touch base and just go walk through the numbers and, just look at everything.
Wow. That's awesome. So tell me, by being here today on this podcast, what do you want the listeners to know about your company? Are you sharing with them, these are the services that I have? If you find yourself in need, reach out to us. This exists. Because some people might say, I never even heard of this,
Yep.
My only options were to, foreclose or work with my bank,
Yep.
or some strange mail that came in and said, I'll buy your property from you, up under you, before you lose it to the bank.
Yep.
So, what can you share with them that you want them to hear today? And how can they contact you and your company if they need your services?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess one of the things is if they're looking for a way to earn an above average return, right? If they want an alternative, if they truly want a passive route of investing, I can 100% help them with that. It's either we can like partner on it, depending on the amount of money, do a JV deal or just strictly be a passive investor.
Okay.
Where they can just get that passive return, or if they just want a truly passive return, I can actually sell notes to them, just kind of like broker, so to speak. So where that money can just go directly into their self-directed IRA and just grow tax free. So I guess more or less, I would just be more or less looking for, I guess, somebody to be a partner with me. Looking, if they're looking to invest, we can have more of a conversation with it. We can just set up like a 30-minute, 40-minute call, and I can just really go over the numbers with them, show them some, case studies, deals that I've done.
Right.
And then if anybody wants to just get in touch with me, they can just go to and schedule. It's real easy. They can just go to talkwithlarryhoffman.com, talkwithlarryhoffman.com. And what that'll do is that'll redirect you over to a Calendly link, and then you can just schedule a 30-minute call with me. And that it sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours. We're just not locked into 30 minutes. We can just set up a Zoom call, and I can just really go over the numbers with people.
Okay, so you're looking for investors. So my question would be, you talk about the states that you are, that you're currently able to work in. Your investors, they can come from anywhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and typically when I say the states that I typically work in, I do buy properties across the United States, all 50 states, but I do not do New York, New Jersey, or Cook County, Illinois, just because it's more of a tenant friendly state, and it's just, I just choose not to work in those in those states, but primarily I'm in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, South and North Carolina, Texas. I don't know if I said Pennsylvania, but those typically those 7 states I absolutely love. Okay. But I will look at other states as well, except for New York and New Jersey.
Okay. Sounds good. So they can come from anywhere. And
yep.
So do they come from all backgrounds of life? Like,
yes.
If you have no idea about it, but you're saying to yourself, look, I need to invest in something, because I want to see a profit. I have this money. I don't know what to do with it. I could take it to, this stock guy, that stock guy, but I don't want to do that. That's confusing. That's complicated. I want to do something with this money, and I'm not sure. They can come to you and say, hey,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's where and that's I've had people come to me where they've only had and I go as low as these notes. I could buy stuff all the way down to like $25,000, right? And then, but I can also work with them to where I actually bought 3 notes in my self-directed IRA just a couple weeks ago. 13,000, 16,000. I think the other one was like 14,000. On average, I'm getting about a little over 14% return on my money in my self-directed IRA. So if they're looking for something like that, I mean, I can 100% help them with that. But I don't want them to. what I was going to was, I guess what I was kind of driving to is, I had a person come to me and they said, I want to invest with you, and this is my last $25,000. And I'm like, if you need this money to live on, I am not taking your money.
Right.
That you need to get things squared away first before you start investing.
Right.
Because once again, it is investing, and if something happens, I don't want you to be up a creek in case something happens.
Right.
So I do try to look for accredited investors, but it is, and I have people sign documentation, a PPM, and things like that my attorney's prepared, just so they that you just realize that it is investing and nothing is 100% guaranteed. But with these performing, especially with these performing notes, if they've been performing for a while, chances are they will still continue to be performing. So it's a really good strategy, especially in your self-directed IRA.
Like by being an investment, understanding that it's going to take some time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's like the first spill you give. Now this is a quick, quick thing for you. Just pass by because it's going to take some time.
Exactly. And just that's the thing that just kind of really irks me about other programs and courses and mentoring. It's just like it seems like everybody's got a course or a mentoring program that they're pitching, and they promise you the world, and and it's like it just doesn't work out quite that way.
Yeah, well, to be honest, just my perspective, I actually think they make the profit from you investing in their training.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
That's the profit. You're rich or making money or getting this regular check because you've gotten like 10 people to give you $1,000 for a course. Or, consistently, like every month you're getting these, people to do that. And that's how you kind of got, your money that you got. So yeah, I'm very skeptical of those type of training programs. But I just think that, that's something that maybe later on in the future for you, when you have a little bit more time and you're like, okay, maybe I'm kind of slowing down on the hands-on. Now you can teach and share a little bit more. I think that.
Well, it's amazing because I just I'm in the process of doing one right now where I had an investor. He just said, I'm just looking to slowly grow my self-directed IRA. I'm like, well, hell, if you're in it, I'm like, I've got this note. I was going to buy it, and I was just going to put it in my self-directed IRA. And I just said, I was totally transparent with him. And I said, I'm buying it for X. And I'm like, and this is what your yield is that you want. Do you mind paying Y? And there was a significant difference between what I was buying it for and what he was paying for it.
Right.
And he goes, Larry, I don't care. It's a performing note. The money goes directly into his self-directed IRA, and I'm showing him how to set up a trust and all that stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he was totally fine with it.
Wow.
And he'll be, if I remember, I think it's a little over 13% return on his money.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's consistently. Like you're just going to consistently see that something, just like you said, if it's once already performing well, it will continue. So you don't.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. So once again, can you give I'll give your website. Your website is LJHinvestments.com. Is that correct?
Yep, correct.
Okay, so they have any questions, regarding, okay, I didn't get that, I missed that, let me go check that out. They can go to the website, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and your email, is it Larry@jhinvestments.com?
Larry at LJHinvestments.com.
Okay, so they can reach out to you there as well. Do you have a team working with you, Larry, or just the virtual assistant?
Well, I've got a virtual assistant, and I do have a team, but they don't work directly for me. So I have attorneys. I have the mortgages that I buy. I have servicing companies. They're third-party servicing companies, and they're the ones who's licensed in all these states to collect these payments. And they collect all the payments. They have the correspondence with the borrowers. They send out the notifications if they're late. They're instructed to start the foreclosure process, and like the loan modification, the outreach programs, and things like that. I do have a title company that I work with, and several. I do have several attorneys that I work with, throughout the states.
Awesome. So what it sounds like to me, as my father would say, you have great connections, Larry.
Yep, exactly.
Connections, that means everything. Well, thank you so much for being on Renewed Mind Revolution podcast. It has truly been my honor to meet you and to chat with you.
My pleasure.
Here. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been great. I learned a lot, and I'm sure my listeners did too as well. Once again, thank you guys for listening to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook and our guest today, which is Mr. Larry Hoffman. If you have any questions or concerns regarding what he has talked about today, please do not fail to reach out to him. Remember, I love you, but most importantly, God loves you more. God bless you guys.